Welcome back. We are moving on to the next topic of forms of market, that is the demand curve under monopolistic competition and monopoly, the difference between the demand curve in the monopoly and monopolistic market situation, and the next form of market, oligopoly. Now moving on to the demand curve. Now, how will be the demand curve of a monopoly market and a monopolistic competition? What is the difference between the demand curve? You know that two market situations are different in their features in every aspect. So, how will be the demand curve of both monopoly and monopolistic market? Now, first we will discuss about the demand curve under a monopoly market situation. Monopoly market, you know, there is only a single seller and his product will not be having any close substitute. And he is the price maker, he is the person who fixes the price. He can either increase or decrease the price, and in order to sell more and more, he will be reducing the price. I told you, in order to clear the stock, he will be reducing the price and selling the products in such a way that you can find 20% discount, isn't it? So he will be reducing the price to sell more. And you know that there is an implication, there is a relationship between the price and demand, isn't it? When the price decreases, demand will be more. Now let us learn the demand curve of a monopoly market situation. So I told you, in a monopoly market situation, the seller is the price maker. He can reduce the price in order to increase his sales. Now, the illustration of the demand curve of monopoly market situation. We are discussing the demand curve of monopoly market. Now here the units sold are 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now first unit is sold at a price of 5 rupees. In order to sell more, to clear his stock, he has reduced his price from 5 to 1. Okay. Previously the price was 5 and in order to sell more, he has reduced the price to 1. So at rupees 1 he is selling more, because you know the relationship between the quantity sold and the price, isn't it? When the price is less, demand will be more. So more is sold, 5 units are sold, more is sold by reducing the price to 1 rupee. Okay. For the simplicity of explanation, I have taken it as 1 rupee. Now, you know what is meant by AR. AR, isn't it? AR and price are equal, isn't it? You know that. Therefore, I can write the same as 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In the previous classes, we have discussed about the price and AR are equal with the equation AR is equal to TR by Q, isn't it? In the previous video, we have learned about price is equal to AR. Now you know MR is found by delta TR by delta Q. How will you get TR? TR is equal to price into quantity, isn't it? Now, or AR into Q, isn't it? Isn't it? So you will be getting the TR based on that, and on the basis of TR you can calculate the MR values as 5, 3, 1, minus 1 and 3. That is a task for you. You have to find out what is TR. AR is equal to TR by Q, TR is equal to AR into Q. So you have to find out TR and then find out what is marginal revenue. You will get the answer and you know how to do it. You have been doing it for perfect competition too, isn't it? So the MR, corresponding MR values are 5, 3, 1, minus 1 and 3. Now from this table, what is your analysis? See, the price has decreased from 5 to 1, the same for AR. AR also has decreased from 5 to 1 because you have learned that price is equal to AR. I hope you remember that equation. Okay. Now, correspondingly, MR is also falling. What is meant by MR? Additional revenue from the additional level of output sold. Now, each additional output is sold here by reducing the price, isn't it? Additional output 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5. All these additional outputs are sold by reducing the price. So, as these additional outputs are sold by reducing the price, our marginal revenue value goes down and even becomes negative, isn't it? That is why MR is falling and becoming negative. Now, based on that, if you draw the marginal revenue curve, you will be getting a downward sloping curve. Why? Because there is an inverse relationship, isn't it? Downward sloping curve, and AR curve is also a downward sloping curve because it represents falling AR and MR. And you know that MR is falling at a double rate than that of AR, because you know MR is falling at a double rate than that of AR. 5 to 3. Then 3 to 1, 1 to -1, double the rate than that of AR, isn't it? Because 5 minus 1 is 4, but 5 minus 2 is 3. So, double rate MR is decreasing. Okay, so double rate MR is decreasing, and the double rate decreasing is represented by this curve. This is curve MR and this is AR. So, AR and MR curves are falling in the monopoly market situation, and AR is the demand curve. You have learned the same for perfect competition too. AR is the demand curve. So, I need not repeat the same point, but still you can remember AR is the demand curve of a firm. You can find demand curve is downward sloping, isn't it? Now, here the firms increase the volume of the sales by decreasing the price from 5 to 1. Here the price is decreased from 5 to 1. So, AR falls with the rise in the sale, isn't it? So, AR is falling with increase in the sale from 1 to 5. Sales is increasing from 1 to 5, but AR is falling from 5 to 1, isn't it? MR, that is revenue from every additional unit, will be lesser than AR. Why? Because every additional unit is sold at a lesser price. That is why MR is less than AR, and it is falling at a double rate than that of AR. So, both AR and MR curve falls. MR falls double the rate than that of AR. All these are the important points that you have to note. Then MR can fall to 0 and even become negative, but AR will never become negative. So, here each and every additional output is sold at a lesser price. Therefore, MR is falling, it becomes 0 and even negative, but AR will never become negative. Okay, so that is what you have to remember. In a monopoly market situation, each and every output can be sold. Output can be increased, selling of output can be increased by reducing the price. So, if such a situation is happening, AR will fall, subsequently MR will also fall. Why MR is falling? Because each additional output is sold at a lesser price. Therefore, MR will also fall. MR falls at a double rate than that of AR. Both AR and MR curve was downward sloping curve. AR is the demand curve. MR falls at a double rate than that of AR. AR will fall, but it will never become negative. All these are the important points that you have to make a note. Okay, and you can see the shape of the marginal revenue and average revenue curve. Once again, it is downward sloping. Now we will move on to the next page, that is monopolistic competition. Now, how will AR and MR curve in a monopolistic competition behaves? Okay, in monopolistic competition also, AR and MR curve will be downward sloping. Definitely it will be downward sloping, because you know that when the price falls, demand will be more. So, definitely in monopolistic competition also, AR and MR will be falling, but there is a slight difference in their elasticity. That is what the point that I have to stress. Now, in a monopolistic competition, you know the feature of a monopolistic competition. What is a feature? There are large number of sellers in the market. They produce the differentiated products, but they are very closely related products, very close substitutes. So, endless number of companies are there. For example, the rice powder or sambar powder or toilet soap. There are so many companies which are producing that particular product. So, if one particular company is reducing its price, for example, a festive offer from a packet of rupees 25 as a festive offer, if a company is reducing its price to 23, other products will also be using such kind of strategies. They will also try to reduce the price, isn't it, to attract the consumers. But that price reduction has got some extent, isn't it? They cannot reduce the price to a large extent. If they are doing so, they will not be able to exist in the market because they require a minimum profit level. So, competing with other firms, they will also reduce the price, but price reduction has got a particular point. Beyond that, they cannot go because it can also create a wrong notion among the consumers. At the same time, these firms will find difficult to exist in the market. So, a minimum level of profit has to be maintained to exist in the market. As the competition is very high, it will also adopt a measure of reducing the price as a festive offer, but will not be reduced too much. There is an extent to which the price is reduced. Okay. So, that kind of price reduction can take place in a monopolistic competition. So, in a monopolistic competition, as there are large number of firms, the price reduction of one firm will be closely watched by another firm. On the basis of that, the pricing strategy will be adopted by other firms in the market. But in a monopoly, it is not like that. The decision is taken by a single seller and he is the one who decides on how much price has to be reduced. If he has to clear the stock, if he wants to maintain a minimum profit level, if he decides to reduce the price to a particular level, if it comes down, it is his decision, his own decision. But whereas in a monopolistic competition, such a decision is not possible because there are large number of firms. Okay. Under monopolistic competition, the AR and MR curves are more elastic compared to monopoly. This is the point that we have to stress. Okay, that is the major difference we have to learn. Why they are more elastic? It is because of the presence of more close substitutes. Just now the explanation is given by me, isn't it? As there are more number of close substitutes, different companies will come with different pricing strategies. Just now I gave the example of price reduction due to festive offer. Okay. Now, so when the price is increased in both the markets or when price is decreased in both the markets, anyway, if the price is increased, the proportionate fall in the demand is less than the proportionate fall in the demand under monopolistic competition. This point you have to make a note. So, when the price is increased in both the market, if there are two markets, in the two markets monopoly and monopolistic competition, two markets. In two markets, if the price is increased, upward arrow will show the price increase. Price is increased in both the markets. The proportionate fall in the demand, you know, when the price increases, what will happen? Demand will fall. Am I right? So, when the price increases in both the markets, the proportionate fall in the demand is less than proportionate fall in the demand under monopolistic competition. So, when the price increases, the proportionate fall in the demand in monopoly is less than the proportionate fall in the demand under monopolistic competition, because in a monopolistic competition there are close substitutes. Okay, so when the price is increasing in a monopoly, the demand will fall, but that demand fall will not be large extent. But in a monopolistic competition, you can see there are availability of more close substitutes. If the price increase of one product is happening, the consumers have got the next option, best option is there. Close substitutes are more available. That is what is given here. So, when the price is increased in both the markets, the proportionate fall in the demand in monopoly is less than the proportionate fall in the demand under monopolistic competition. Now here you can find it is more elastic in a monopolistic competition. Therefore you can find the difference between the curves drawn in a monopoly. In a monopoly it is less elastic, and in a monopolistic competition it is more elastic. So this is with regard to the monopoly, and this is with regard to monopolistic. Monopolistic and monopoly. So the difference between the two curves, monopolistic and the monopoly. The two curves. In a monopolistic competition you can find the demand is more elastic. The demand is more elastic. Okay. Demand is more elastic, and in a monopoly demand is less elastic. So once again I will read out that sentence for you. When the price is increased in both the markets, the fall in demand in monopoly, fall in the demand in monopoly. In monopoly the demand fall will be less. In monopoly market the demand fall will be less than the fall in the demand under monopolistic competition, because in a monopolistic competition there are close substitutes. There are more number of close substitutes, but in monopoly there is no close substitutes. Therefore even if the price increases in the monopoly markets, its demand fall will be less when compared to the monopolistic, because in a monopolistic lots of close substitutes are available for the consumers. Therefore in a monopolistic competition AR and MR curve will be more elastic, and in a monopoly it will be less elastic. That is a final conclusion that you have to learn. The difference in the elasticity of the demand curve in both the market situation. You know, AR is a demand curve. Both are falling because more is sold out by reducing the price, whether it is monopoly or monopolistic, isn't it? When more is sold out by reducing the price, you can say that the demand curve will be falling, AR and MR curve will be falling. But what is the nature of the AR and MR curve or demand curve in a monopoly and monopolistic? In a monopolistic it is more elastic, in monopoly it is less elastic. Okay, so this is what with regard to the monopolistic and monopoly market situation, the nature of the demand curve. Okay. Now we will move on to the next market situation, that is oligopoly. Now oligopoly is the last form of market that you have to learn in this chapter. Oligopoly is a market situation where there are few firms only selling homogeneous products or differentiated products. So oligopoly is a market situation where there are few firms. These firms can sell either homogeneous or differentiated products. Homogeneous means what? Same in colors, shape, size, etc. Differentiated means different in size, shape, color, etc. So it sells both the varieties of products, and one particular feature is only few firms are there in oligopoly. So what kind of firms exist in oligopoly? That is what we have to learn. So for that we need to discuss the features of oligopoly market. In a oligopoly market there are only few firms. There are few large firms. Few firms means few large firms, and severe competition exists between them. They manipulate both price and production to outsmart each other. Best example, automobiles. That is a very best example which I can make you very clear. Automobiles. It is automobile industries are the oligopoly market situation where there are only few firms existing in the market, but they are huge firms which requires huge levels of investment, and they can either sell homogeneous or differentiated products. Okay, automobile industry, the production of car, isn't it? Different in their color, style, look, then different machine, engine parts, etc. Isn't it? So this major difference you can find in automobile industry. So they manipulate each other, these firms will manipulate each other in prices and production to outsmart each other. You know what kind of a competition is going on in the production of automobile industries, especially in the production of luxurious cars, isn't it? Next, interdependence. Now here, action of one firm affects the action of other firms. Example, market for cars is the best example. Action of one firm will definitely influence the action of the next one. If one car is being produced and if it is being sold out in the market, the next company will come with more and more options with the same price, isn't it? So you can find, and with more facilities, and there are so many variants for one particular product, isn't it? Particular car, isn't it? So you can, the consumer can buy with any variant, and the price of that particular product will be differentiated according to the variants, isn't it? So if one company is producing the car with so much facilities, the other company will come with the same facilities of a better price, isn't it? So that is why each company producer will manipulate in the price and their production to outsmart themselves in the market. Then non-price competition, a situation where price remains to be fixed irrespective of changes in demand and supply conditions. They uses better services and advertisement. Non-price competition, I have clearly explained to you in the monopolistic competition, isn't it? Here, price competition is not the essential one. Non-price competition is very important. Advertisement, isn't it? That kind of creative advertisements they will bring. Okay, and now you can find creative advertisements are there to attract the consumers by the automobile industries. And even better services, they can also attract the consumers by providing better services, because the consumers will fall if they get better services, isn't it? So that is one area where they can capture the minds of the consumers. Okay, so with the better services and advertisement, the oligopoly market will fight each other for capturing the minds of the consumers. So second feature is non-price competition. Next one is barriers to the entry of the new firm. How they act as a barriers in an automobile industry. For example, entry of new firms are very difficult because huge investments are required. That is one factor. Then the other factors which you have already learned in monopoly, patent right, then cartels. All these are the important features of oligopoly also. Patent right, huge investment, control of vast amount of resources act as barriers for other firms to enter. The entry of other firms to the market is very difficult in an oligopoly market, because oligopoly market is a market which requires huge investment, and the vast control over the resources will make the others to enter into the market. And even the patent right they have, because you know, for the production of car, the different parts of one particular car has to be imported from other countries. If it belongs to technology from outside, it requires patent right licensing, and it has to complete lots of formalities. Therefore, entry of a new firm is very difficult in an oligopoly market situation. So, barrier to the entry of the new firms. Selling cost. Advertisement cost is in full swing under oligopoly. Advertisement cost, no much explanation is required for that, because only few firms are there, and these few firms are very huge firms with huge investment. Therefore, very tight competition is there, and the advertisement is in full swing in oligopoly market situation. Nature of the product. The oligopoly market firms can produce either homogeneous or differentiated products. They can produce either the same kind of products or differentiated products. A particular company can produce a car or truck, anything. Okay, luxurious car, the normal ones. So it depends the way the company produces. They can produce homogeneous or differentiated products. Now, indeterminate demand curve. The exact behavior pattern of a producer cannot be determined clearly. Any change in the price of one firm leads to a change in the price and other factors by the rival firms. Therefore, demand curve keeps shifting and it is not definite. as this is a very particular kind of a market situation where there are only few firms but large firms, and this product will not be affordable for everyone in the society. There is a speciality in the demand curve. The pricing of one particular firm will be closely watched by the pricing strategy of another company, because the advertisement, then the competition, price competition, all these are in full swing in this market. Therefore, we cannot predict how the price change of one particular firm influences the price change of others, and what all strategies are being brought about by other producing companies of the oligopoly market. Therefore, how the people are behaving in the market, isn't it? Now you know there are different tactics used by the oligopoly market situations, like providing better services if they purchase a car. All these are highly different tactics used by the producers. Therefore, with all these factors, the consumers can be influenced. Therefore, how the consumers are demanding the product in the market, how the producers are behaving, all these we cannot predict. Therefore, we can say demand curve in an oligopoly market situation is indeterminate. Very clear, demand curve in an oligopoly market situation is indeterminate. Therefore, it keeps on shifting. It is indeterminate. So, indeterminate demand curve is an important feature of oligopoly market situation. Now once again, oligopoly market situation is a market situation where there are only few firms but very huge firms producing differentiated or homogeneous products. Features are only few firms will be there. Interdependence, they are interdependent between each other. How the action of one firm will be closely watched by the action of the other firms. Non-price competition, especially advertisements. Then the next one, barriers to the entry of new firms, because they have patent rights, huge investments, vast resources, control, etc. Selling cost, full swing in oligopoly market situation. And the final one is nature of the product. They can either produce homogeneous or differentiated products. And the last one is, in an oligopoly market situation, there is an indeterminate demand curve. We cannot predict how it behaves. Now we will move on to the next one, the types of oligopoly. I told you in an oligopoly market situation, the firms can either sell homogeneous or differentiated products. Now let us see different types of oligopoly market. First one is perfect oligopoly, imperfect oligopoly, collusive oligopoly, non-collusive oligopoly. Now perfect oligopoly market produces homogeneous products. Okay, like cement, steel, chemicals, aluminium, etc. Differentiated, imperfect oligopoly produces passenger cars, soft drinks, cigarettes, etc. Okay, then comes collusive. Now, what is meant by collusive? If the firms in an oligopoly market cooperate with each other in the determination of price and output, in fixing the price and output, if the firms in oligopoly market cooperate each other, it is known as collusive oligopoly. But if the firms in oligopoly compete with each other, they are known as non-collusive, no cooperation at all. So, there are four types of oligopoly market: perfect, imperfect, collusive and non-collusive. Perfect oligopoly means oligopoly market which produces homogeneous products such as cement, steel, chemicals, etc. Imperfect oligopoly means oligopoly market which produces differentiated products like passenger cars, soft drinks, cigarettes, etc. Collusive oligopoly means what? The oligopoly market where firms cooperate in determining the price and output. And non-collusive oligopoly means an oligopoly market situation where firms will compete each other in the production of their products. So this is all about the types of oligopoly, and types of oligopoly is not there for a detailed study as per 12th standard syllabus. You just need to know the difference between them. So I hope the following topics are very clear: the demand curve of monopoly and monopolistic, the difference between the elasticities, then features of oligopoly and the types of oligopoly. With this we complete this chapter. Thank you.